Good morning. Welcome, welcome. It's Tuesday. It's time for the live stream. I'm drinking coffee. Good morning. Welcome, everyone out there on the interwebs. Thanks for joining. Thanks for tuning in. Say hello in the chat if you're hanging out. We got a new little podcast set up today. New little content window. We got the little TV, the little logo, chat screen. So if you're joining, thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for being here. This is the Claims Recruiter Office Hours podcast, live stream, whatever you want to call it. Today is March 31st, which feels like a weird day. I don't know. Maybe it's because there's only 29 days in February. March 31st. It feels like it's been a lifetime here in March, but we made it through. Summer is almost here. Ski areas are going to start closing, which is so sad. Still got some more ski trips planned, though. Don't worry. If you're new here, hang out for the next hour. We talk all things recruiting, jobs, insurance, careers. I got lights on my face. Let's move that a little bit. So thanks for joining. If you want to chat about anything in particular, if you're coming with a question, if you're stuck on a job, if you're stuck on an interview, stuck on your resume, whatever it is, love to hear from you. Feel free to pop it in the chat. If you don't want to be identified, you can go to the link on this video in the comment section, crewtalentgroup.com, my website /office hours. You can ask questions totally anonymously. You can also watch the live streams in there. We're live on YouTube. We have 2 subscribers on YouTube, so shout out those 2 subscribers. We're live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube every Tuesday, 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, 9 a.m. here on the Best Coast. We go live for 1 hour. So let's get into it. Let's see. Got my first ever segment. Hold on. I need to bring the trap horn. We have our first ever segment on the show. We're going to start doing this weekly segment. It's called 3 Things of the Week. 3 Things of the Week. And in this segment, I'm going to talk about 3 things of the week. What are those things going to be? It could be anything that I want, but it's going to be the 3 things of the week. 3 very important things. If you've got a thing of the week you want to add to the things of the week, you can go ahead and drop in the comments. Maybe it's something cool that happened to you this week, something random you saw online, something you're excited about in life. I'd love to hear what your things of the week are. I'm having an awesome week so far, so let's get right into it. First thing of the week. I gotta take my logo off. Job alert. We got a job. We're working with a really sweet company out of California. Figured I'd talk about it on the show. If you are a claims adjuster in California looking to level up your career, hit your boy up. Send me a DM. Reach out. Really cool, really awesome opportunity in Irvine, California. Hybrid role for a GL desk adjuster working for a self-insured retention. So for those of you tuning in around the world that don't know what an SIR is, we're here to talk about it. We're going to learn here today. What a self-insured retention is when a company, instead of purchasing an insurance policy, basically insures themselves. So here's a good example of this. This is not the company I'm working with, but Starbucks. Starbucks makes wonderful coffee based out of the Pacific Northwest up in Seattle, and their headquarters are up there. Basically, they need a lot of insurance. Insurance is pretty important for them over at Starbucks. Someone slips and falls in their store, gets injured, sues Starbucks. Who's going to cover it? Well, instead of purchasing an insurance plan for their bajillion stores across the United States, Starbucks has a self-insured retention. Now, a lot of times an SIR will have be self-insured up until a certain amount, right? It'll go up to like 250, then they'll have like an excess carrier like Arch. I don't know if Arch is their actual excess carrier, but I just know Arch is an excess carrier, right? So they'll have a company like that that'll, if the company hits a certain payout, they'll take over after that point. So big companies do this because it saves them money, because if they can have a robust risk management like plan, they're not, Starbucks doesn't want to pay for Dutch bros across the streets slip and falls. They don't want to cover that. They just want to cover their own slip and falls. And since they're like the least amount of slip and falls on planet Earth because their risk management team is so good, they decided to make their own self-insured retention, basically their own insurance company that only pays them out. So it's something that exists out there. Really cool opportunity, a little bit different than your traditional adjusting roles. And these types of jobs are for people that are interested in risk management. It's kind of a different, once you're moving up in claims, that's one of the routes you can take. There's a million different routes you can go. Risk management is one of those routes, and so a job at a TPA handling self-insured retention or working directly for a self-insured retention is a really, really good way to get new experience and to kind of move into a risk management role. And when you think about it, it's the company's actual bottom line that you're affecting every single day. And you do the same thing when you're working for a carrier or working for a mutual or working for a TPA. It's very similar, but it's a little bit more direct. When you're working for a company, there's self-insured retention, you really have an incentive to prevent loss really before it's happening, right? And so that's the goal. The goal is to not have huge payouts. How do you avoid huge payouts? Well, you can negotiate smaller payouts, or you could not have people get injured, and things like that. So obviously there's always going to be claims. Things are always going to happen. That's the world. That's the world we live in. But when you're working for an SIR and you're a claims adjuster, you're a little bit more tuned in, or need to be more tuned into the risk management aspect of the job. Okay, we've had 4 claims in the same store this week of the same thing. Maybe something's going on there. Maybe we can make some changes and improve outcomes for the future. So long story short, really awesome job, really awesome company, Irvine, California. It's 3 days a week in office, working with a really cool team. It's not a huge team, so it's a small team. If you like working on a smaller team, really being able to make decisions, have a direct impact on a company. Is it going to be high volume? Is it going to be hard? Is it going to be a fast-paced environment? Absolutely, all of those things. But really, really, really awesome opportunity for the right person. You know where to find me if you are in California and interested. Hit me up, hit your boy up. I'm here. Send me a DM. Apply on crewtalentgroup.com. That's the first thing of the week. Shameless self-promotion. Okay, second thing of the week. It is awesome though. Hit me up if you're in California. If I'm hitting you up on LinkedIn or hitting you up, calling your cell phone, you have no idea how I got your number, just know I got a cool opportunity. Okay, number 2 thing of the week. This guy. Shout out in the comments if you could tell me who this guy is. Well, wait. This is Andrew DePaula. This is the long snapper of the Minnesota Vikings. He has been in the league for 16 years, and he just signed a $1.7 million contract to snap the ball 7 times a game for next year. And the lesson here is specialization is so important in every aspect of every job, every industry, anything in the world right now. Specialization is key. That's why I'm the greatest claims recruiter of all time. I'm not the best insurance recruiter of all time. There's way too much stuff for me to know. I don't know how the agency side works. I mean, I kind of do. Could I figure it out? Maybe. I just don't want to play in that. I'm specialized. I do claims. That's all I do. And if you're a claims adjuster, if you're in this industry, if you're in any industry, you need to be thinking about how you can specialize, because that is how you can move up in your career and ultimately make more money, which is what we all want to do. But Andrew DePaula, this guy right here, long snapper of the Minnesota Vikings, just signed a $1.7 million contract to play for the Minnesota Vikings. The Minnesota Vikings also signed Kyler Murray to be the starting quarterback of the team. What was the amount of that contract? $1.3 million. So this guy plays 7 plays a game on average. All he does is snap the ball. Very well, might I add. All pro bowler. $1.7 million. Specialization is key in everything, but in claims. So if you're in claims, you're working right now, you're a property adjuster, you got 2 years under your belt, think about specialization. Think about learning new skills, thinking about becoming great at those new skills. Think about different types of claims that you can handle. Specialization will get you far in life. Time for the third thing of the week. If you've got something, if you got a thing of the week, I'd love to hear it in the comments. I'd love for you to say hello. Third thing of the week is the greatest rock band on the planet, Goose, started their summer tour, spring summer tour in Athens, Georgia on Saturday. Shout out Goose. Huge fan. Can't wait to see him later this year in Bend, Oregon. I won't spend too much time on that, but check them out if you haven't. Goose, greatest rock band on the planet. That's my third thing of the week. Let's go. All right, let's get back into it. Yeah, I love this new little set. I worked hard on this new little setup, little TV, little logo. It's cool stuff. Cool stuff. Well, we're going to get rocking. This is how we do this every single week. It's a totally open format. We hang out here for like an hour-ish. I talk all things claims. If no one's in the chat, I talk a lot. If there's people in the chat, I'd love to hear from you too. What questions you got this week? What's on your mind? How the job hunt's going, resume tips, interview tips, whatever we want to chat about. I hang out for 1 hour in my office and I turn on cool lights and pretend like I'm a video game streamer. It's pretty sweet. Pretty cool. So, you got questions? You want to chat about anything? Drop it in the chat. Otherwise, I pull out of a hat, basically, a bunch of questions that people ask me during the week. I spend all week interviewing people, talking to candidates, talking to hiring managers, talking to people in the industry, educating myself about what's going on, seeing what jobs people are hiring for. I spend a lot of my time scrolling job boards, learning about who's hiring, what companies are out there. So this is all I do, claims recruiting. Talk about what I see, observations that I make, learn from people in the chat, what they're seeing, what observations they're making. Whew, I'm hyped up on my coffee, y'all. I got the Kona blend from Fred Meyer this morning. Private Selections. Full bean. Ground it myself. Sweet. Let's get into it. I'm going to go ahead and start just kind of pulling some questions that I've received throughout the week. If you got others, drop them in the chat. Let's hang out. Okay, first question of the week. Looking for first claims job, currently in the fire department, looking for second career. So this is, again, I mean, I get this variation of a question so many times, every single week. Love talking about it, right? I'm brand new to the industry. How do I get into it? This is literally the reason that I started this whole thing. This is the reason that I get on this thing and I talk every Tuesday for an hour, is I want to help people get into insurance. I think it's an awesome industry to be in, and nobody that works in insurance set out to originally work in insurance. None of us did. I got a degree in Parks and Rec and tried to be Leslie Knope, and here I am. So it's an awesome industry. It's an awesome place to work. There's a ton of opportunity right now if you know where to look. So let's get into it. Looking for first job, currently in fire department, looking for second career. I talked to this gentleman, awesome dude. Sent some messages back and forth. Let's get him a job. But I've heard the situation a number of times, and I talk about it on this live stream over and over. Law enforcement, military, teachers, firefighters, EMTs, all of those careers make really good segues into insurance adjusting. Those are really, really great like experiences that people come from, who I've seen over and over and over and over and over and over and over again become successful in this field. And so if this is you, you're in the right spot. You're doing the right thing. So this person originally posted on one of the Facebook forums, and a lot of the questions were around a lot of the comments that I saw were interesting and said, hey, you should actually go be a fire inspector, or like an origins, like figure out, if there's a total loss fire, you go out and figure out how the fire started, where all that stuff happened, do report. There's companies like that. Nefco is one of them, fire investigation company. It's a national reach. They have an office out here in Portland, but there's a lot of comments about that. And so I ran that rabbit hole down a little bit. And so in order to do that type of work, you do need to be a certified fire investigator. You need to have class work. You need to have prior experience into that. And it is a difficult field to break into. So a lot of the comments that I saw about this originally were, go do that. Kind of ran that down. Didn't seem like it would necessarily be the best fit for this person. So shout out to the people on Facebook. It is decent advice, and there are companies like that, but you do need certifications and a background in that if that's where you do want to go. So to go kind of back onto what I know and what I talk about, claims adjusting. Now, one of the things I hear over and over and over again is, okay, I'm going to switch this career. Can I dip one toe in? Can I start part-time? Can I be an independent adjuster and work part-time as I kind of transition? And I don't want to say you can't do it. You can do anything you put your mind to, whatever, but it's going to be difficult to do that, right? Most independent adjusters start off in catastrophe. You do cat adjusting and be a firefighter full-time at the same time? Probably not, right? You got to go drive across the country. You're going to get dumped 60 claims. Your head's going to be on fire for 2 weeks, and then you're done, right? And that's how cat adjusting works. So while it may seem more ideal to start like kind of part-time and kind of dip your toe in and kind of go slow, it's not how it goes. You can do training, you can do certifications, you can start kind of while you're doing both, but long term you're gonna have to make that jump. So how would I do it if I wanted this career? It depends on your goals and what you want to do, but there's basically 2 routes you could go here. You could be an independent property adjuster, or independent, not just property, there's other independent adjusters, but that's one route a lot of people would take. Or you could go get a job full-time for a company. It seems like this person kind of wanted to go towards the independent route. Again, what I would recommend right now, if I was starting today, March 31st, 2026, is I would go get a staff job for a year or 2 and learn at a company, right? Independent adjusting market, as we know, is a little bit wonky right now, mainly due to lack of catastrophes, lack of large events over the last couple of years. But is it going to come around 100%? Could a hailstorm hit in 2 weeks and really kick things off? Absolutely, 100%. So, if you're going to go that route, which again is a good route to take long term, it just may take a while to get started. And you have to understand that if you start your career as an independent adjuster today, you might not get your first claim for 3 months. It might be 6 months. It might be 9 months. It might be a year. You don't know what the market's going to do. It's heavily reliant on catastrophes. So it's definitely something that you could do. Recommend getting good training, taking a really good training class. Go to MoCat, Adjuster TV, Matt Allen, another fantastic one. If you want to do auto, IA Path has a great program. Veterans Adjusting School, they don't do their OG program, but they've got some cool programming now. So really great training options out there. Make sure you understand what you're getting into, how the industry works. You need to be trained on the software, whatever you're going to use. If it's auto, it might be CCC, it might be Mitchell. If it's property, it's going to be Exactimate, Totality, whatever they're called. But yeah, like what I said to this person, and what I would recommend to anyone right now who's joining the industry is take a look at staff jobs right now. It's a little bit more secure. It's a little bit more stable right now. If you need stability working full time for a carrier or a TPA or a mutual company, they're going to train you. They're going to get you started. There's really good entry level opportunities. The play is long term, right? You're not going to get rich your first 2 years. But there's great opportunities specifically in auto, bodily injury, commercial auto, general liability, and what we were talking about a minute ago is like kind of specialized claims. And so I think general liability is a really, really great place to be right now. Liability claims, that's where I'm on the job boards. I'm looking at what's out there. Those are the jobs that I'm seeing. GL, auto, commercial auto, a little bit of physical damage. Not a ton of property jobs. They're out there, but it's not booming right now like kind of the commercial auto side is. So that's where I would try and position myself and my skills if I was getting into it right now today. But it also just depends on what your goals are, what you want to do, where you see yourself most valuable, what your experience has been, things like that. But I would say certainly from a fire investigation, you know, if you rode a fire truck for 15 years, you have a pretty good understanding about medical terms. You have a decent understanding about investigations, scene investigations, details, report taking. I think this is a fantastic career for you. Wish you the absolute best of luck. And if you ever have any questions, you know where to find me. Boom. I'm gonna sip my coffee here, take a breath. If you're just tuning in, this is the Claims Recruiter Office Hours revamped a little, I don't even know what to call it, podcast stream, whatever. Pretty stoked about it. Say hello if you're just tuning in. Love to hear from you. If you got questions, you want anything on your mind, any observations that you've made, anything you want to talk about, I'd love to hear from you. With some smooth jazz in the background. Well, we'll keep rocking. These are questions that I've received throughout the week in my conversations with adjusters, hiring managers, job seekers. These are common questions I get. If you want to tune in, if you got an answer that I'm not thinking of, let's hear it. If you've got questions, if you want to chat about anything, I'd love to hear from you too. Does job hopping in careers matter to your career matter to hiring managers? So job hopping. I'd love to hear some other opinions. If there's any people that have hired people in the past, what their thoughts on it are. If yeah, but I'll give my opinion here. Does job hopping matter? As someone that talks to hiring managers, that gets to kind of see this process play out, gets to see the rationale, the thinking in hiring managers. Like for recruiters, like I'm not oftentimes the one making the decision, right? My job is to provide the hiring manager that I'm working with the best possible candidates for their opening. A lot of times they'll kind of say what they want. They'll say what they're looking for. My job is to go out and find those people for them. And so I can kind of advocate for people. Harry says, yes, it does. Yeah. That's kind of where I was going to go here is yes, it matters. It is job hopping the end of the world and the worst thing that you can do? No. If you have 4 jobs in 3 years and you're applying for your 5th job, is the hiring manager going to take that into account? Absolutely, they are going to take that into account. Hiring managers don't want to spend, I mean, how long does it take to get somebody trained up for any given job? I mean, even my job, like when I was training other recruiters to work at Eberls, it takes 6 months to really get comfortable in a job. And think about the money that costs in training, the time it takes for the team. Like, forget the money aside, just the amount of time and energy that it takes that they're investing in you as a person to like get up to where you need to be to like really do the job. It takes 6 months. I don't know what like a typical claims handling role, but it takes so much time and energy and focus of the team to like get you to where you need to be. And then if you leave 6 months later, they got to start over. And not to mention that like the financial aspect of that, how much it costs. Even just hiring someone without training, the typical hiring cost of an employee in 2026 is like $4,000 or $5,000. So Good morning, Weston. Good morning, Carrie. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for joining. Appreciate y'all popping in here. But yes, job hopping does matter. And so, yeah, like if you, and I've done this in my career where like I went somewhere and realized very quickly that it wasn't a fit. I would say that if this is you and you're applying or interviewing, you need to be prepared to have an answer to this question. And before even just like preparing to answer the question, you need to have a legitimate answer to the question. If the question is, or if the answer is that you get, you know, you have trouble getting along with people at multiple jobs, like you need to look inward at yourself and see like, okay, is this problem really the companies or is the problem me? And like, how can I change? And you really, really, really need to figure out at your next job, like what it is that you need in a career, or need in a manager, or need in a company to make you successful. And you need to stick it out. You need to stick it out for a while, because yeah, it's going to be difficult to continue to get jobs if you over and over you're not lasting at a place for more than like a year. So, you know, companies love to see long tenure. Like if I bring a candidate to a hiring manager, they've worked at a company for 9-10 years, they're looking for like they want to get promoted, or like that's, companies love that. Carrie says it's very time and resource intensive to train an adjuster, even one with prior experience. Job hopping does matter to the extent that it may be a predictor of your likelihood of sticking around. The best indicator of future behavior is past behavior, as well as your resilience as the first year is the hardest. I'm a lot more open to someone that has at least one relatively recent long-term employment with good reasons for not sticking around the job that follows. And again, that's 100% agree. Like there are times when you go to a job or something happens and it was outside your control and you don't know, and it ended up being, we've all heard the horror stories. We've heard these bad desks that exist. We know it's out there. I feel like you get one maybe, but like if you've got 2 or 3 in a row, it's going to make it more difficult for you. So you know, like your own health, your own mental health like really matters. And so you have to do what's best for you at the end of the day. But at the same time, you want to make sure that you're preparing yourself or setting yourself up for success in the future. And so I see another recruiter online, shout out Nikki Brandt, talk about this a lot, but it's like don't quit your job if you don't have one lined up. We see that a lot. You know, try and stick it out. And again, like you're gonna have to figure out your own life. You know, if what's best for you, you got to leave your job or whatever. Like you got to do what's best for you at the end of the day. But if you can stick it out for a couple of years, if you can work through it, be resilient, for sure. Yeah, I mean, as a trainer, as a hiring manager, as a coworker, it's just exhausting. And the mental burnout that it takes for you to train other people and for people to leave after you put so much time and energy into doing that, it's just, it's hard. It's hard on teams. So 100% matters. All right, let's keep kicking. Good comments. Appreciate you tuning in. Okay, I get this one quite a bit, and I've been on the other side of this, so I have an interesting perspective here. Independent adjuster, I received one of those text blasts from blank from a major firm. Is it even worth it to reply? I get these all the time too. I'm on all these rosters. Half of them probably know that I mean, they probably don't even know because there's so many people, but I get these texts all the time. We'll even look. Alacrity Spring Training Series, Kansas City, Missouri. So I get these texts too, right? Text back this. Should you reply to those? If it's relevant, 100% reply every time. Like if it applies to you and it's relevant and you have the skills and experience that they're looking for, definitely apply. So here's what happens. On the other side of this, I used to work at Eberl Claim Service. I used to be a recruiter. I used to find people for daily claims. And so here's a perfect example. We get a daily claim in Philly. I'm just throwing something out there. We get a daily claim. It takes me so much time to go through every single person find out, okay, are they available? Call this person. Can you take the claim? What's easier for me is to send a text blast out to kind of a targeted list of maybe like 50 or 60 people in that area who fit this criteria, and just send them a quick text blast. Hey, we got this claim. Are you interested? We want to take it. Reply to this if yes. If you reply, even if they don't send you that claim, that recruiter is seeing your information and you're getting updated in their system, and you're telling them that you're like a real person and that you're applying, so you're active in their system. They're going to see your name, and even if you don't get that claim and they end up sending it to someone else, they're going to have a little mental note, okay, this person replied, and you start to see patterns. And what I'd rather do as a recruiter is kind of have these people in my mind, so that way I don't have to send these text blasts. I can just, I already know this person, boom, 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 text, boom, they got the claim, personally. So that's kind of what happens. You start to see this name over and over and over. It's like marketing, they're gonna remember you the next time. They might just text you directly, they might call you. But yeah, I know like a lot of the feedback you get is like, I reply to these texts all the time and I never hear anything back. It's still valuable for you to do it. It doesn't take you a whole lot of time, and sure, it is a little disheartening sometimes if you don't get the claim or you don't get the job, but yeah, 100% definitely worth replying to these text messages if it applies. Again, if it doesn't apply, if you don't have the experience or whatever, then don't. But if you do, absolutely, and then they're thinking of you. So boom. Let's see here. If you're just tuning in, this is the Claims Recruiter Office Hour podcast. We got about 25 minutes left in the hour. Every Tuesday, I come on here and talk about all things claims recruiting. Open up my office, chat about whatever anyone wants to chat about. The office is open. Feel free to drop it in a comment below. We're live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. You can comment anywhere. It'll pop up here on the screen. Otherwise, if you don't want to be identified, you can do it totally anonymously by going over to my website, crewtalentgroup.com/office hours, and you can send in comments that way too. Love to hear from you. Who's the best skier on the mountain? I'm the best skier on the mountain. That's all I have to say about that. Should I send a follow-up email after an interview? This is like a lost art. It's so easy. It's a slam dunk. It's a layup. It's there for the taking, and nobody does it. I don't know if this is, and I'd love to hear from other people if you have this experience. Back in the day, it was like you sent a follow-up email, you sent a handwritten note, you sent something. I never, ever get these anymore. Why is that? It's so easy, and it's just like a hey, thanks. It doesn't have to be. Use ChatGPT. Help you draft a quick little like 2-liner. Hey, appreciate taking the time. I'm super interested in the position. Love talking about this. It doesn't have to be crazy. I love it. It's free. It's easy. It shows that you care. It shows that you're interested. Are they going to hire you because you sent a follow-up email after an interview? No, of course not. But it's not. I don't know. Just do it. It's so easy. They remember you. It's out there for the taking, and I feel like nobody does this anymore. I don't know. I love getting follow-ups. I love getting nice follow-ups from people. I think it shows people that stand out. I think it makes you seem kind of like a go-getter. I don't think anyone on planet Earth is going to get offended if you send them a follow-up. Be professional, be cool about it. It doesn't have to be this long, like, the ones I don't like are if it's like this super long ChatGPT generated thing that's like, thanks so much. It's just like robotic sounding, but just send a quick little thank you. Back in the day, you used to get like little handwritten thank yous sometimes, and that was awesome before the age of the interwebs and all that stuff. But yeah, I love it. And I don't see it utilized nearly as much as it should be. So love to hear other perspectives on that. Do you ever get follow-ups after interviews anymore? Like if you're like in a third round interview and you're talking to like executives or VPs, and you can get their email and send a quick little personalized message to that person after the mention one thing you talked about. It doesn't have to be crazy. It doesn't have to be you selling yourself. It's just like, hey, thank you for taking 30 minutes out of your Thursday to chat. And even if you don't get the job, like, use that as a networking opportunity with an executive. Like, it's just a no-brainer. It's so easy to do. It takes no time at all, and nobody does it. So be the person that does that. Be that person. Love to hear some other perspectives, though. What do you think? Oh, and remember to stretch. There's my little stretch. My watch is telling me it's time to get up and take a walk. Not yet. Got more time in the live stream, but important thing if you're a desk employee, a remote worker, working from an office, go on a walk today. Get some stretches in. It's important to move your body every single day for 30 minutes. After my long day of work here today, I got a 6-mile run on the docket, so we'll see how that goes. Probably not great, but got a 10-miler in Seattle this weekend. Let's see. If you're just popping in, this is the Claims Recruiter Office Hours live stream. Every Tuesday, we go live for an hour, hang out here, talk all things claims and recruiting. You got things you want to add, things you want to talk about, pop in. Love to hear from you. Otherwise, I kind of go over just things that I hear throughout the week. When I'm talking to hiring managers, when I'm talking to candidates, when I'm talking to job seekers, this is the questions that I get. Chances are, if I get a question from somebody, there's 100 other people out there with the same question. So that's the whole purpose of this. Try and help people out in their careers, try and help people out in hiring people any way that I can. So let's keep on moving on. Where is the most opportunity in claims right now? I'd love to hear some other perspectives, what you think, where the opportunity is at. If I'm a claim adjuster starting tomorrow on April Fool's Day, my career, what would you recommend? Where do you see opportunity? Where's this industry going to go in 10 years? I'd love to hear from other people too. I think the most opportunity in anything in life, not just claims, and we kind of just talked about it, is specialization. If you could be an expert and be really, really, really good at one thing, and you're the go-to about that one thing, that is going to do you very well. There's a million different things that you can specialize in. Where I'm seeing the most need in jobs right now in the insurance claims world, adjusting world, is, and I feel like I'm beating a dead horse over and over again, but commercial lines, more complicated lines, more niche lines of insurance, things like commercial auto, the transportation space, even workers' comp is still really big, but bodily injury claims seem to be where a lot of the jobs are at. So that could be commercial. It could be product liability, where someone eats a hot dog at a 7-Eleven and it makes them sick and they sue. It could be cyber. Cyber is an exploding field right now. So many cyber claims. Not a whole lot of people. It's relatively kind of a new-ish line of insurance, and so there's not a lot of people with that expertise, but a lot of need for people that do have that expertise. Professional lines, med mal. Again, like the property catastrophe world has been slow. We know this. It's been slow for the last about a year, couple years. Not a lot of huge catastrophes. That's what that business is driven on. That's how property adjusters make their money. It's been slow. Will it come back around? Certainly. But but I'm seeing just a lot more jobs, a lot more stability in the auto side right now, especially on the bodily injury side, commercial auto, transportation, fleet management. These like, who's handling the Lime scooter claims? That's what I want to know. Who, if you're an adjuster out there and you're handling the Lime scooter account, I'd love to hear from you. Love to hear. It's something that's super interesting to me. I actually don't have a car. Me and my wife have one vehicle. We share. It's her truck. We share it, but it's her truck. My primary mode of transportation here in Portland, Oregon is Lime scooter, which is pretty miserable for about 3 months out of the year, but pretty awesome for the rest of the year. So I bike a lot. You know, I take the Lime scooters. Obviously, I have a vehicle if I need one. I use Turo a lot too. So like that's another, like, I've talked to some Turo adjusters, people that have worked on that account before, and super interesting, right? Like, you rent a Turo, you get in an accident, someone gets injured. That could be kind of a complicated type of claim, a little bit more complicated than just like your typical first party auto claim. So those are the lines of business that I'm super interested in. I just have this weird lens on life. Me and my wife stumbled into a bar this weekend and they had a mechanical bull, which was pretty sick. I'm like, who's handling these claims? Like, there's got to be a risk manager somewhere that's like providing that bar with guidance on how to operate this mechanical bull, where certainly people get injured and certainly people file claims and sue and whatever. So I just like walk through life and I get on a Lime scooter. That's something like, who's handling this claim? Who's handling that mechanical bull claim? Who's doing this, like, you know, all these kind of weird risk management involved in some of these things. So that's where the opportunity that I'm seeing is in these kind of niche lines. Bodily injury, liability, subrogation is also big right now. Workers' comp is always has a big need. Property is just a little bit slower. So that's how I would try and align myself. If I was starting out right now, I would be looking for trainee jobs in those lines of businesses. I would really be looking for like my first job in general liability. If I could find a job with a company that does GL or complex GL and I can learn there, that would be an incredible opportunity. Last week on the show, we kind of looked through some opportunities that were out there, specifically in the Chicago area. Really cool opportunities. You know, a couple of the ones, one was a property, one was a non-standard auto company, which I think is certainly a difficult job, but a really good opportunity for somebody. And then we've looked at another trainee job at Intact for a GL adjuster. So these jobs are out there. We're seeing them. We're looking at them. I find them. That's where I would position myself. And the other thing, I don't know if it's a generational thing. I don't know if it's always, I don't know, maybe it's always been like this, but it seems like one of the things I hear in the workplace, in the workforce, is people will say like, I don't want to do that. I don't do that. I do this. I'm this type of adjuster and these are the claims that I handle and this is what I do. And you don't want to be like that. The opportunity a lot of times is like what's available to you. And if your boss or your supervisor or your team has got a need somewhere, you want to be the person that's willing to go out and take that on. You don't want to be the person that says, no, I don't do that. That's not part of my job description. Sometimes the opportunity is right in front of you and you just don't want to take a look because it's hard. And so do the hard things in life. Claims in life, running, that's my mantra in when I run. Do the hard things. Do the hard things. I say that over and over in my brain. Running sucks. I did 22 miles last week. That was pretty, got us ramping up. Running's terrible, but doing the hard things in life is going to help get you more opportunities, going to get you better. It's going to get me faster at my marathon times. In your career, do the hard things. If your boss, if your team has all these files that no one wants to take on because they're complicated and you don't know what to do, be the person that raises your hand and takes that on and takes that off your boss's plate or takes that off your team's plate or helps out the new adjusters or trains the new person or whatever that opportunity might look like. A lot of times it's right in front of your face and you just don't want to take it because it's hard. Do the hard things. Take on those new opportunities, take on new challenges. It's going to be how you get recognized. It's going to be how you get promoted. It's going to be how you learn new skills. There's the opportunity too. So do the hard things. Shout out Truett Haynes. If you don't know who Truett Haynes is, check him out. He ran a marathon got second place in the Austin Marathon wearing blue jeans. He does the hard things. Oh man. What is a TPA? I get this question literally twice a week. I spent a whole podcast episode on it last week, so I'm not going to go crazy deep into it, but I've gotten this question from 3 different people this week, just in conversation. So, what is a TPA? Awesome place to work. Really great opportunities for claims adjusters. A TPA is a third-party administrator, and basically, that doesn't really tell us a whole lot more, right? Not a great name, but a TPA is someone that administers a claims program. That can look like a million different things, but at its very base, it's somebody that handles claims for somebody else, right? So it could be an insurance carrier directly, just doesn't want to have their own claims department. They just want to hire someone else to do it. We see that. It could be a self-insured retention, which we talked about earlier in the show. It could be like the same example, Starbucks. Starbucks has their own self-insured retention. They do hire their own kind of claims risk management team, but they also send some of those claims to TPAs. It could be a company that writes an extremely specialized policy, and maybe they don't have the expertise to handle that line. They'll have a TPA do it for them. So it's just a company that handles claims on behalf of another company or on behalf of someone else's risk pool or insurance program. And so what that means is, as a claims adjuster, you get exposure to kind of not your typical claims environment. When you go to work for Farmers Insurance, you're going to handle a farmer's homeowner's claim, and that's all you're going to get. Your system's going to be built out beautifully, probably, for whatever you're doing, and you're just rinse and repeat over and over and over. At a TPA, there's going to be a little bit more variety. You might handle, you could be assigned to just one account. Like if you're a Starbucks, if you got the Starbucks account, there's going to be enough volume probably where that's all you do. But you might handle, let's say you work, your company just signed like a water park, and you get these slip and falls from the water park. Probably not a ton of claims. You might have another program too that you also work, and so you get exposure to different lines. You can get some really good experience. It's sometimes a little bit more high volume. It's sometimes a little bit more fast paced than working at a carrier. What I will say is your opportunities for advancement and pay are a lot of times higher at a TPA. And so the difference between a TPA and an independent adjusting firm is another question I get quite a bit. And the two kind of go hand in hand. And sometimes TPAs act as independent adjusting firms too. But basically an independent adjusting firm, someone's hiring you out to go do an inspection on a property or an inspection on a vehicle or whatever the inspection needs to be on. It's like one part of the claims process. They're not, at the end of the day, the independent adjuster is not writing the check for the most part. They're helping get the carrier to that point where they figure that out. They figure out the scope. They figure out the extent of the damages. They figure out the money. They negotiate with contractors. They are a part of that process. But an independent adjuster very, very rarely is the person that signs the check and hands it to the person or the business, whereas a TPA actually has financial authority to do it. So that's the big difference between those two. Sometimes they kind of act at the same, like Eberl company I used to work for is both. They have a TPA, they have independent adjusting, they work hand in hand. Sometimes their TPA will assign out claims to their independent adjusting firm. Sometimes their TPA will assign out claims to other independent adjusting firms. But that's kind of the differences. In short, really awesome place to go work if you're a claims adjuster. There's really great TPAs out there. There's a lot of startups that are happening. There's large companies out there, but there's also small mom and pops, specialized niche companies. Really great place to work. And it always depends, but yeah, don't sleep on the TPAs. Love working with TPAs. I love referring people to go work for TPAs. They're great jobs. And they hire a lot of claims adjusters. So if you're a claim adjuster and you want to work at a TPA, hit your boy up. Let's chat. Love to hear from you. Okay, got a couple more here. Got about 10 minutes left before I sign off. If you're lurking out there in the LinkedIn world or in the Facebook world or on YouTube, one of our 2 YouTube subscribers. Say hello. Love to hear from you in the chat. What's on your mind? What you want to chat about? Pop it in there. Otherwise, I got a couple more questions that I've gotten throughout the week I'm going to go through and chat about. Yeah, this is the Claims Recruiter Office Hours podcast live stream. Every week I pop in here for about an hour and we chat all things claims. So appreciate you joining if you're with us. Let's keep on rolling. How do recruiters work? This is a question I get all the time, right? If I'm talking to a candidate, like, how do you make money? Great question. I love to answer it. There's different types of recruiters, and I think that the most common type of recruiter that people see is like, I work for a company. It's similar to adjusting. They work for a company. All they do is recruit for that company. That's not what I do. I have done that before. It's awesome. It's fun. But I'm like more of like an agency recruiter, and I own my own business. I do it. I'm kind of a headhunter on my own. And so companies contract me to go out and help find them people. And so there's different ways that I make money. But the most common is like what's called contingent recruiting, where a company will contact me. They'll say, hey, I have this need. I don't necessarily have a traditional recruiting department, or maybe I do and they're just not specialized with this. Maybe we have recruiters, but they don't know claims and I need a claims person. And so at that point, a company would contract me, and I don't get paid unless I find them someone great and they love them and they hire them. So that's kind of how that works. I take jobs on contingent basis, which means I only make money if I perform. So if you're a company out there and you're looking for a claims adjuster, you have a really hard time finding someone, it doesn't cost you a thing to hire me, to start working to help you bring you candidates. But where then you pay me basically if we'd agree on a price, and if I'm able to find that person for you and you love them and you hire them, that's how I make money. Another model that people do and that I've done before is like a smaller company maybe just needs a fractional recruiter. They don't need a full-time recruiter. They don't have the budget for $100,000 recruiter a year. They'll hire me on as a fractional recruiter and pay me like a retainer basically to perform all their recruiting functions. And we've got some pretty cool software and systems where we can kind of plug right in. You can use our technology. You don't have to get LinkedIn Recruiter. You don't have to get your own CRM. You don't have to get all these fancy tools that I already have. And you can kind of like use those tools to help find you. And then, you plug in. It's really cool software where you can see exactly where I'm at, who I found, where they're at, things like that. So that's the way that I work. But yeah, like I think the biggest misconception with agency recruiters is that we go out and that like candidates will contact us and then we go out and find that candidate a job. That's typically not how it works. Sometimes it does work like that. I like to connect with everybody and anyone who's in claims. One, because I want to help you, but two, I want to meet people in the industry, so I have a warm bench of people when companies hit me up and say, hey, I have this person, and then we'll match people like that. But for the most part, I'm working for companies that are contracting me and not necessarily going out and finding people jobs that are reaching out to me. There's definitely value in talking to a recruiter if you're a job seeker, because we understand the market. We talk to hiring managers every day. We're in the market. We're talking to job seekers. We're seeing what the jobs are out there. And so if you're a job seeker out there, it costs you nothing. It's worth a conversation. It's worth, there's going to be some value in speaking with a recruiter. And so you absolutely should, but that's kind of how it works typically. I want to get everybody jobs. I really do. I wish I could. That's the worst part about my job, is that I can't get every single person a job. The two worst things about being a recruiter are I can't help everyone and telling people when they don't get the job. We're always rooting for you. We're always hoping for you. We're on your team. We're advocating for you. But yeah, we're like, in a way, we're the middlemen. But it's an awesome job, helping companies find people, especially companies that are like really having a hard time. And there's value not just in like finding people to work, and it's like we understand the market, we know what's out there, we can kind of access these pools. I spend all of my time in all of these forums online. I'm on the Facebook forums, I'm on Reddit, I'm on Indeed, I'm not on Indeed. I say Indeed. I'm not on Indeed. I hate Indeed. Indeed's the worst. I'm on Discord. I'm on like anywhere that adjusters hang out is where I'm trying to be, and I'm trying to find all these pockets of people where these people hang out, doing the conference thing, but also just like finding where these people hang out online and joining these communities and meeting people that way. And so it's hard going out and finding people. Like I just on a job that I'm working on right now, like I've reached out to probably like 120 different people just for this one opening already. And that's like the work that we do. The contingent deal, it's like we only get paid when it happens, but the work that we put in, we know where these people are, we know how to find them, we really know the market, who's going to do well in these positions, who's not going to do well, what to look for, and that's really what we like specialize in. And so that's kind of how it works, figuring it out every day, learning new tricks every day, learning new tools, finding the coolest tools. Candidate sourcing tools are really cool nowadays. It used to be really difficult. You'd have your Rolodex of people that you've met, or your file paper cabinet of resumes that you found that you would go through and categorize. Now you've got all these really sweet tools where you can find people online. People are like, "Where'd you get my phone number?" Like I just clicked the button in my CRM and it gave me your email and your phone number. I don't know. But typically I'm not calling someone if it's not worth their time to hear about it. But that's how recruiters work. It's an awesome career. Hit me up if you want to be a recruiter. Got some cool recruiting opportunities that I've seen recently. So, okay, last one. Just about to finish my coffee. It's perfect timing and go downstairs for a refill and then get back to work here in a minute. But this has been the Claims Recruiter Office Hour, episode number 14. We've done this 14 weeks in a row and we're not stopping. How do I avoid a toxic desk? Love to hear from some other people. How do you avoid a toxic desk? I know there are situations where the jobs are toxic, right? We see it online. You see people, you've met people. Maybe you've been in one. I don't know. But what I will say that I see, and this maybe will ruffle some feathers or be an unpopular opinion, but it's like, how do you avoid a toxic adjuster? Like there's the flip side of this too. And for every toxic job that I see in the world, there's like 5 toxic adjusters, right? And not every time you go online and see like, or you hear from someone, I'll be interviewing a candidate. They'll be telling me how horrible this job is, how horrible the people are there. And it's like, I know the people there and they're cool people and it's a cool job. But I know other people that work there and it's a cool, like, and so I don't know what I'm trying to get at here. I don't know. I know that there are toxic jobs out there. There's difficult jobs, but I think that we use this word like toxic or bad workplace or horrible place to work, like too freely sometimes. And I think it's really important to understand what you're getting into. And here's an example of this. I hear over and over and over and over and over that like State Farm is a terrible place to work. And the reason that State Farm is a terrible place to work is because and I'm just using State Farm because they're the biggest, they're the whatever. They're a horrible place to work. They measure all these KPIs. They have all these rules. They have all these and they micromanage me. I hear that over and over and over and over and over. They're the largest personal lines insurer in the United States. They employ thousands and thousands of people. I know people that work there. It's an incredible place to work. And sometimes like the toxic is you not understanding what you're getting into. They're the most insurance is the most regulated industry out there right now. And they're gonna measure your KPIs. They're gonna measure your contact time. They're gonna measure your inspection time. They're gonna measure your claims closure time. And if that's toxic, then maybe this isn't the right career for you. And so what I would say is one of the ways that you can avoid a toxic desk is to really do the research on what you're getting into to make sure that you have the skills, the experience, or the capability of like handling that environment. Claims is an incredible career. Insurance is amazing, but it's not easy and it's not for everybody. And so if you're going to interpret someone measuring how long it takes for you to call an insured after you get a claim, then it's probably not the right industry for you. If you can figure out how to own those KPIs, how to beat them, how to, you know, how to make your numbers look good. If that's the type of person you are, you're going to do a lot better. So number one thing that you can do to avoid a toxic desk is to really do your research on the front end, understand the type of company you're going to work in, ask the right questions in the interview process, and try and make sure that you're interviewing the company too, and not just them interviewing you, to make sure that it's a good fit for both ways. Glassdoor is a great place that you can go to find like honest reviews of companies. I will say Glassdoor leans very negative, and it's similar to like just reviews on Google. People typically don't go on Glassdoor and they're like, I love this company, it was the best place to work. They go there when they're mad and they go look. Is it good information to go look at? Absolutely. It's interesting to go see. But you know, you want to maybe talk to some people that have worked at that place, see who you know, look at the leadership team, look at what they're writing, what they're saying online, see if you kind of align with that vision. That's how I'd do it. I'd stay off the Facebook forums, that's for sure. But yeah, I would say that like a lot of the stuff I see online about this place being horrible to work, it's from an anonymous person. It's from, you don't really know if they were good at their job, if they're failing miserably, if they're like, so don't take advice from an anonymous robot online is what I'm trying to say. You really need to do the research yourself. You need to talk to the people. You need to ask really good questions in the interview phase. You need to like understand what the workload is going to be like. Part of the interview is you understanding what exactly is my day-to-day at this job going to look like, and do I have like, is it a fit? And just because you're not a fit for a certain company doesn't mean they're a bad company. You know, two things can be true there. So I've learned as a recruiter that not every company is for me. And I try, when I'm vetting out companies or talking to people, potential clients, that I'm gaining more information about the position that I'm working for, but I'm also trying to learn more about how they operate, their culture, the people that I'm working with. And I've said no to business because I didn't feel like it was a solid fit before. And so the same thing kind of applies in terms of job seekers. Are those bad businesses? No, they might be fantastic businesses. It just wasn't a fit for me personally. And the same for you. So I know I kind of went on a long time for that, but that's kind of I just see this so often, and you don't see companies online being like, that was a toxic person, but that can be the case too. So, and if you're finding yourself in one of these environments that you think is toxic, one of the things that I would do is have a candid conversation with your supervisor, boss, about what's not working for you, and really make sure that you're putting your best foot forward and giving it your honest try. Don't leave right away. Don't, you know, and if it's, again, if it's affecting you, I had a boss once, and I won't go too deep into it, that was like, this is before I got into insurance, that was like abusive to people basically. And I left that job like immediately. So like those situations happen, and no one says like, you know, but it was like abusive basically, and I left it immediately. And so I do understand and I empathize with people who those types of situations exist, and there's certain lines where, like, when the boss is calling people names and screaming at people, I'm like, this is not a professional environment. I don't think most toxic jobs you see online or people talking about are to that extent. I think it's more along the lines of, it just didn't line up with what they were hoping for, what they were wanting, or the environment that they thrive in. So yeah, I think the best way to avoid a toxic desk is to really do your research and make sure that you're matching up with what's needed, what's expected, what that day-to-day is going to look like. You're going to be able to handle that. You have the skills, the background, the experience to do that. But then again, if it's hard and it's tough, have a candid conversation, be real, and do your best to work through it, and grind out a couple months of it, grind out 6 months of it. And if it's still not working for you, take a look, but, you know, give it your best shot. sit next to a coworker who performs really well. Try and learn from them. Ask for tips on your team. Figure out ways to be more efficient in your job. Really give it a good old college shot before dipping out. I've also seen that toxic people, Israel loves company, right? And so try and avoid, maybe it's an environment thing where you're near or hanging out with the wrong people too. And so find, like, if you're a new employee and you've got a team and it's your first day at work and you see 2 weeks in, so-and-so has been on this team for 2 years and they're killing it. They're the best one. That's your friend. That is who you want to be friends with. And I'm not saying you want to go out to dinner with them on a Tuesday night. I'm saying they're your work friend. You know what I mean? You want to learn from them. You want to sit next to them at lunch. You want to find out when they're taking their lunch break. I don't bombard them at lunch break, but that's where you're going to want to hang out and learn from those people and see what they're doing right and see what you can learn from them. And a lot of times people that are really good at their jobs or good in their careers are willing to share it with other people and willing to help. Sometimes you just got to ask. So that's another way you can do it is make sure you're hanging out with the right people at work. Make sure if you're referring people to work at your company, you're bringing on cool people that have good vibes. I don't know how to say it, good vibes. But yeah, sweet. Well, that's it. That's all we got. We got the logo back up on the screen. We got the new podcast set up here. I'm loving this little new pod screen. So if you made it an hour and 9 minutes into this with me, I appreciate you joining. Appreciate you sticking with it. This has been the 14th episode of the Claims Recruiter Office Hours live stream. Every week we go live here on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube for my 2 YouTube subscribers. And we talk all things claims, recruiting, yeah, whatever you want to talk about. So we'll be here again next week, next Tuesday. I hope everyone has a happy Easter for all those who celebrate. And we'll see you next week. Thanks for joining.